This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we find ourselves in an Egyptian setting, heading underground, lighting up our torches, running through the different halls, and trying to find different artifacts that will get us lots of points for set collection. It's also a race. We're trying to be the first ones to the end, but we're also trying to unlock some of our other adventures that can help us out get things behind that we missed. Today we're taking a look at Luxor. This is from Queen Games, and it is designed by Rudiger Dorn. It's for 2 to 4 players, and as of the time that this video is going live, this game was just announced as a nominee, one of the 3 nominees for the Spiel Des Jahres, which is basically Game of the Year in Germany, one of the biggest awards board gaming has. So let me show you how this game works, and I'll see you on the other side. Here's the board set up for Luxor. We have 3 players playing, and over the course of the game, you're going to be moving your adventurers from the start and moving them all around this little board like this in a square-like pattern until you get to the end, picking up different tiles and doing different things throughout the game. Now each player is going to be given 5 cards, and from these 5 cards, on your turn, you're going to select either the furthest one to the right or the furthest one to the left. And when you get these cards, you have to set them in a certain order, and you can never move that order. So I could move 1 adventurer 1 or 1 adventurer 4. Those are my 2 choices, but you can look forward, because if I take this card, then next round, my choices are going to be 5, because this will then be on the end, or 4. But if I take this one out, then my next choices are going to be 1 or roll a die. So here we have those choices, and let's just say I just select this one. I'm going to move an adventurer 1. And so I'll discard that card here, and I'll move one of these 2 adventurers 1. Since they're both on the same spot, it does not matter. Now when you get here, this tells you how many adventurers you need in order to get that artifact. In this case, it's just 1. So since we have 1 player there, that's great, 1 adventurer, we get this. We get to keep this in front of us. Now this would have given us 1 point right away up on the scoreboard, and we're trying to collect sets of different types of artifacts. There's only 3 different types. We have necklaces, there's statues, and there's vases, and these are randomly placed out over the course of the game, so each game is going to be set up a little bit differently. And when your turn's over, you're going to draw a card from the top of the deck, and you're going to place it again right in the middle. That's the only place you can place it. And now next turn, I can choose either 4 or 5. So that's pretty much how a turn structure goes. You're going to play a card, draw a card, and move some adventurers. And as you can see, some of them need more. This one needs 2 adventurers, and that player would get 3. But some of them, if you look on the wall, have some depictors behind there on the wall. What that means is once somebody got 2 adventurers here, let's say this blue player got this, they would get this, they'd get the 3 points, but then shown on the wall is a cobra. Now you'll take these temple tiles, and it matches that type, and there's different types of these, and you'd place them on top. They would not get this bonus, but anybody else that comes later on would, and these things do different things. Like this gets you a scarab, which at the end of the game is going to be worth between 1 and 4 points. Others will give you a secret passage, which will allow you to pretty much teleport to another room anywhere in the temple that also has a secret passage. Now, if an adventurer passes the spot where you have at least one other adventurer there next to the Anubis statue, you get to take this adventurer and add them back to the front, and now you have more adventurers to work with and more choices. And this happens throughout the game because there's all different spots, 3 different spots throughout the game where you'll get more adventurers. Now, if you land on one of these red tiles, you'd flip it over, and it would tell you how many spaces to move. So you would then move 2 more here. And this is a statue which you need 2 other adventurers, a total of 3 to get this 6 points there. And if we did, as you can see, it would have brought out one of those bird tiles. And as we can see as before, it brings up different special things like something like this, which is a wild for a different set collection. So let's talk about these different artifacts. Now at the end of the game, you're going to get a certain amount of points depending on the amount of sets you have of each. 1 statue, 1 vase, and 1 necklace. So if I had this 1 set, I'd have 3 points at the end of the game. But if I get up to 7 sets, I could have up to 42. But sometimes you can use what we just saw was a wild, like this, for another type of thing. So we can make this anything. So it's a vase. So in this case, that's still 1 set of this without having to use that extra vase, for example. Now there's also these tiles. These allow you to either take a horse card or a key. Now the tile we landed on is at a certain level. We'll have 1, 2, or 3 of these icons here, and that corresponds with level 1, 2, or 3 of these cards. And these are special cards that you'll take and put in your hand. Instead of drawing at the end of the round, you basically get one of these cards, and they do different things. Like in this case, you can move all your adventurers 1 and then choose which one to activate. Or move an adventurer 1 and then pay 1 less for one less adventure for getting that specific artifact. Or you can move an adventurer between 1 and 5, and they get more powerful as you go up. Or, as that tile said, instead of taking one of these cards, I could take a key. These keys are worth 1 point at the end of the game if you have them, but it's also how you get in. To get to the end, you actually have to have the exact move to get in, and you need a key to get in, essentially giving up that 1 point at the end. And the first person there is going to get the 5-pointer, the second one it gets a 3-pointer. As soon as any 2 adventurers are there, they could even be from the same player, the game will end. Now, you'll notice that this room has a 13 on it, and some of the other rooms like this one has an 11. And as you look at these, as you get closer to this room, generally there are more points. Now some of them, like the powerful ones, are worth 0. You don't want to be there at the end because they're worth 0 points. But the further you've gotten in general, the more points those adventures will be worth at the end of the game. And so when that game ends, each adventurer is going to get those points up to whatever room they're in. Each player that has gotten to the end will get the points on the sarcophagus, and then you'll get a point for each key, and then you'll get, as I mentioned earlier, depending on how many single sets of each 3, you'll get a certain amount of points, and the scarabs, you'll turn those over and get certain points. Whoever has the most is the winner. All right, well, there is Luxor. And as I mentioned, this game was just, even today, the day that this video went live, was just announced as one of the 3 Spiel des Jahres nominees. It's the Game of the Year in Germany. It's one of the most influential awards on all board gaming. So let me just run through what I liked and disliked about the game. First of all, theme. I always tend to like those Egyptian themes. I don't know why they just speak to me, but they do. And so, you know, it is one that's used somewhat often, but I liked it. It's done well in this game. The movement. So as you're moving, the big crux of this and all the great choices that you have are those cards. So basically you've got those cards and you've got 5 of them, and you can only use the 2 on the end, one or the other. So you've got 2 choices each turn, but some of those cards give you even more choices within them, and you're trying to figure out which one to use now, because you know that when you draw the next card, it's going in the middle, pushing everything to the side. So it's like, oh, I want to get this other card down here, which means I need to use this other card over here first to get to this next card that's next to it next turn to get to what I really need to get done on my next turn. So it's good because there's some things that you think about right now, but there's also things that you're trying to think about in the future. And I don't know what the word for this is, but this is sort of, it's not a rolling right. I guess there is one, you know, sometimes you roll dice. I mean, a roll and move. It's not a roll and move, but it is sort of a roll and move with cards because you're deciding which ones to go. You're moving people. It's sort of a race. You're moving them around the boards. You're trying to get them to land on each other to unlock different artifacts. That part reminded me of a game called Rattle Bones where you are rolling and moving, but you have many choices as to which one you move. Felt like that here, and that was really the crux of this. So I love the decision making here between which card to take, which card to go, what am I thinking now, what am I thinking later. And because of that, the game has a good mix of luck and strategy, which most family games tend to have, and this definitely has that. Because again, there's a good amount of strategy as to what you're picking and then what that's going to give you for your choices in the next turn. But in the end, you are drawing cards, and there is some luck of the draw there, but I think it's a very good balance. I like how you're trying to pass other adventurers, and as you do that, you're going to grab those adventurers and move them back to the front where they're in the stairs, and then they're going to get to come down the different hallways and things like that. And so you're adding more adventurers to the game, which is really cool because sometimes you'll be going forward and you'll miss something. You know, you'll just, you know what, I'll get that later, and you go. And sometimes there's like secret passages that might not have come up until after you've already passed it with your first couple of adventures. And then, you know, a secret passage comes up, and then one comes up towards the end, and some of your people that you've unlocked later can get there, jump, and come all the way forward. And so there's some interesting things there. So I like being able to try to pick up things that people have left later with those different adventurers. I like trying to maneuver those adventurers for sets. It's all about trying to get those points where you're trying to, you know, sometimes you need 1, 2, or 3 people. You're trying to get them there, and you're trying to line them up and try to use the right cards at the right time to line them up to get the right treasures, but you're also doing it trying to get them in the right sets of those. So I like that aspect of it. And I like how some of those spots leave behind those temple tiles, the purple ones, which do different things. One of the things I just mentioned was that secret passage. And so I like how some of the tiles, oh, you get this, but now another tile is going to come up, and someone behind you is going to be able to get that. Sometimes it might be with you, with your other adventurers, but it shows it to other people that they can try to get some of those things too. And I like that aspect of it. I like that this had sort of a race to it. There's sort of a rush. You're going to try to rush to the end to get those 13 points plus the 5 or 3 for the different sarcophagi that you get there. But you're also trying to take some time to line people up for those sets that I just mentioned. So it's a good push and pull between, am I going to race to the end, or am I going to sort of sit back and try to get a bunch of sets? And there's that balance there where part of it's a race, part of it's not. So good, interesting decisions throughout the game for both the tactical of the minute and the longer strategic moves there. I like that you have the keys versus those Horus cards, where you're like, hey, I need a key to be able to get into the final chamber, so I got to get at least one of those if I'm going to get in there. But those cards are very powerful, and they allow me to sort of break some of the movement rules of the game. And again, even more interesting little decisions there. And I like that it has a randomized setup. Those tiles, they go in specific spots, but they're sort of shuffled, and so every game will feel a little bit different. And even though there's different ways to go, the scoring felt well balanced in this game. Everyone seems to be pretty tight at the end. Anything I didn't like? Well, the cards, some of the cards showed a red die that you're supposed to roll, but the die is yellow, and it caused some confusion, and maybe they'll fix that. Maybe this was a pre-production product or something like that. But that was one little minor hiccup in the production. And, you know, a little nitpick here is that you could use a player aid for some of the tile summaries. Now, once you've played the game once, maybe twice, and you've seen most of the tiles, they'll all sort of come natural to you, but a couple times you'll have to flip through the book and see what exactly some of those do. The iconography is good, but sometimes you might slightly mess things up. So a player aid would have been nice, but I'm nitpicking there. Overall, if you like these sort of family style games that plays up to 4 players, it's scaled pretty well with us. If you like that style of thing, that's what you're getting here. Rudiger Dorn has done some great games. Las Vegas, Karuba. I mean, this guy's been already nominated for Spiel Des Jahres because of those. And now for this, definitely one of my favorite designers, Rudiger Dorn. And this is a solid family game. It's not one that I walked away and went, whoa, this is a special game. This thing's going to be nominated for Spiel Des Jahres. But it is one of those ones that you can look at and go, okay, yeah, this is absolutely a solid family game, things that Queen games tend to do. Now, I mentioned that this was nominated for Spiel Des Jahres. I'm doing a separate video this same day, today. I'm going to put the links in this video to that video, where I actually compare and contrast the 3 different Spiel des Jahres nominees, including this, and talk about which ones do I think is going to win, which one do I really want to win, and things like that. And I will break this down a little bit further, and that link is in the description of this video. Otherwise, this has been the Game Boy Geek, helping you find and enjoy the next board game you'll love.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.